of speech is the core of the United States of America.
Well, and a lot of people have believed it's been under siege for a decade. And now a lot of those same people are leading the war against free speech on college campuses and other places right now. It's cancel culture seems to be back, but this time with the vengeance for the right, Willie. But this was definitely a victory for free speech. A victory, again, not just led by Democrats, but led by Republicans as well. And I really loved Jimmy talking about him sending his love to Erica Kirk and the family, talking about Erica Kirk and what she said, the forgiveness, talking about how he has people in his family and people that he knows he loves that are Donald Trump supporters. And they still love each other. They still talk to each other. They still get along with each other. It was just, I thought it was it wasn't an us against them. Look at me. I am, whatever. I am Spartacus. It was saying, hey, let's figure out how to do this together.
Yeah, there was humility in that statement last night, basically saying, maybe what I said was wrong. Maybe what I said was poorly timed, given that the murder of Charlie Kirk was so fresh. We can debate that. But what we shouldn't be debating is whether or not the President of the United States or the federal government can use its power to shut down voices it disagrees with. That's just not a road that this country wants to go down. David Drucker, I'm curious what you thought, and if you're dialed in perhaps a little better than most to the MAGA world and to conservative eyes on Jimmy Kimmel. Someone like Ted Cruz saying, I don't like Jimmy Kimmel. I don't think Jimmy Kimmel's funny, but I sure as hell don't think he should be pulled off the air for something that people found distasteful. Kimmel probably didn't win over those people, as he conceded last night, but what do you suspect will be the reaction after this?
Well, look, I mean, I think you'll still see some complaining on the right that people on the left haven't fully appreciated what they believe they went through over the past 5 to 10 years, where center-left institutions, or just institutions in the country that they perceive as center-left, or that just are liberal institutions like universities and certain quarters of the media, were not as sort of understanding of their right to speak and say things that may have been uncomfortable on the left that they believed. And, what we've heard a lot of over the past few days from people on the right is, one, this is wrong. We've been saying this is wrong. Even though we don't like Kimmel, even though we don't agree with a lot of the things he says, the government is not allowed to coerce or determine what is acceptable speech. But broadly speaking, we feel like we've been the victims of this, and nobody on the left has been listening because they thought the things that we were saying were beyond the pale. And of course, I think what all of this may hopefully get people on the right and the left back to, but we're going to have to see, is that the whole point of the First Amendment is that we are allowed to say things that the other side finds uncomfortable or wrong or rude or vile.
Right.
And so obviously, Joe, Willie, we should all exercise good judgment as to where and when we say things. But nobody in Washington, where I am and where I work, that works for the federal government gets to make that decision. It's a decision my employers get to make, you guys get to make when I'm on your air, my wife gets to make when I'm out in public with her. But the government doesn't get to tell me what to do when it comes to speech. And it'd be nice if everybody could now sort of appreciate what the other side has been going through, and they could at least join hands on that.
Right, and it hasn't just been the past 5, 10 years. I mean, there have been times that Condi Rice has been disinvited to graduations to give a speech because some people were too frail emotionally to handle Condi Rice speaking. Same thing with former governor of New Jersey, a Republican. And you hear I think Christine Lagarde at one point was disinvited. And so these attacks against free speech have come from the left. They're coming from the right a good bit right now. People, the Attorney General of the United States saying, she's going to see if she can bring action against Office Depot for not printing up flyers. Anybody remember the wedding cake case that we talked about for a decade? I mean, so yeah, both sides, and I will say both sides. It is a both sides thing. The left for years has tried to stifle certain speech on campuses. We had guests here 5 years ago, 4 years ago, the law school deans of I think Berkeley and Yale coming on going, hey, we got to be able to have people come into our campus without the heckler's veto. We got to be able to get people out of the classroom so our students can learn again just because they're here. You know, so yeah, this has happened on both sides, Donnie. And right now it is, and I commend Ted Cruz again for saying, oh, okay, we do this to them. They're going to do this to us. It's kind of like the filibuster. We keep waiting for one side to blow up the filibuster, and they still don't because they understand they're not going to be in power forever.
Yeah. Free speech is free speech is free speech. And I think what I hope is that advertisers don't buckle, because this is not over yet. What's going to happen is they're going to reach out to advertisers, oh, you're on Jimmy Kimmel and whatnot, and advertisers, please don't be weak here. Stand true. Doesn't matter whether you support Kimmel, doesn't matter whether you don't support Kimmel. This is a free country. This is free speech.
Yeah, but like you said, though, this is David Ignatius. This is the decision Disney made is a decision that's supported by the majority of Americans. I mean, it is people don't want the federal government to ban late night hosts because they're doing now what they've been doing for 50 years on late night television, making fun of politicians, especially making fun of whoever the president is at the time.
So, Joe, free speech is our civic religion. It's the one thing that everybody believes in. I thought it was notable that overnight Joe Rogan issued a strong statement supporting Jimmy Kimmel's right to say what he wants and saying, we're just not a country where people regulate what comedians or anybody else say in public. I do hope that after this intense discussion of what free speech really means, led in some ways by Charlie Kirk, who was a passionate advocate for it, that President Trump understands that too, that he hears what the country's mood is on this. You know, he was still talking about how he hates his enemies and he wants to shut them up. Well, that's not where a lot of people in his party, in his America. I mean, David said it so well earlier. That's not where folks are. So, you know, it would be great if this was a moment that clarified for everybody that free speech is absolutely central to what kind of country we are.
Well, and Caddy, it's absolutely central to what kind of country the United States is. One of the things that people on the right have been deeply critical of have been incursions into free speech in Europe. People being arrested for saying things that are unpopular, comedy writers being arrested for saying things that are unpopular, maybe not seen as politically correct. Of course, the deep irony there is that they've been pointing at Europe for doing this all along, and then it happened in the United States after a threat from Brendan Carr and the FCC.
Yeah, I mean, it does make the vice president's words ring a little hollow when he goes and criticizes a lack of free speech in Europe, and then we have Jimmy Kimmel pull off the air after very clear opposition from a senior government official in Brendan Carr. So there's a lot of hypocrisy here. There are a lot of hot feelings here. At the moment, it feels that free speech has become just another political football that the left